today I want to talk about critique partners and how to get them. Now, if you're anything like me and you have friends in real life that write, but might not take that writing as a career option and might just write casually as more of a hobby, and you do enjoy talking to them about writing, but they just don't take it as seriously as you do, then this video is for you.
You can't say you didn't see this coming. Finally got some inspiration right again.
So this is not to shame any of my friends that have been writing casually every once in a while. This is just more so me explaining how I got my critique partners and how you can set out to find your critique partners if you are in search of a critique partner. So I will be taking out my phone to go over some things with you and to give you guys some tips and tricks on how you can approach finding a critique partner. So first things first, what is a critique partner? So online I found a description of what a critique partner is, but basically it says a critique partner is another writer with whom you exchange your manuscript, chapters, scenes, etc. So basically a critique partner is a fellow writer that's gonna look at your work before anyone else basically does. And for me, a critique partner also kind of becomes the person that you brainstorm things with, that you really rely on with some of the things that you might be struggling with, someone who's just gonna be motivating and helping you out throughout this process. And with them being a fellow writer, they will understand kind of the ups and downs that writing brings and all of the things that you might be feeling. Like they can understand as a fellow writer what you're going through, and you guys can go on this journey together. So how does one set out to find a critique partner is kind of something that differs from person to person, I would say. It kind of depends on what you're comfortable with and also how you want to approach this. So for me, let me kind of share how I got my two critique partners. So I would say I have two critique partners. I have other writing friends that I can send my work to and that I usually will send my work to before I send it out to anyone else. But I consider these more so my writing friends and my beta readers instead of the critique partner status, if you will. So for me, what qualifies as critique partner, I guess in this scenario, would be me really kind of meeting with you on a regular basis. We talk about writing stuff, we talk about the books that we're writing, I ask you for brainstorming help whenever I'm stuck, and just in general, kind of this is what we're struggling with, and we just kind of talk about it on a regular basis is I think maybe what I see as critique partners. For me, there are two that will have that title, and potentially I will have more that will earn that title or that will move up, but I think I'm just gonna say two. So how I found my two critique partners is online. I found one of them through Instagram. We just basically started commenting on each other's stuff. Like we followed each other, we started commenting on each other's stuff, and then one of us sent a DM to the other person. I don't even remember who it was that sent it first, but we've basically kind of been chatting online since like 2020, I would say, and we connected in that level. Then my critique partner took a break from social media, and then when she returned, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember connecting with you. I'm so glad you're back. And we just kind of started chatting about like what was going on and why like she wasn't on Instagram a lot, and just kind of like, hey, how is your writing going? And we decided that we were gonna swap manuscripts and we were gonna give each other something to read so that we could see, hey, do you wanna, read my stuff? I will read your stuff in return, and let's see if we kind of connect. And that's how I found her. Now, my other critique partner I found on more or less like a forum where you could post, hey, I'm looking for a critique partner. This is my genre, this is my word count, and this is kind of what I'm looking for in a critique partner. And then other people can respond to that and kind of say, hey, I am kind of the same style in writing, I enjoy the same genre. Let's swap a few chapters and see if we connect and see if like what I'm saying and what you're saying kind of match up, and like how we approach this aligns with what we're looking for. And that kind of jumps us into something that's very important when searching for a critique partner, and that is what your expectations are. So definitely be sure to kind of outline what it is you want out of a critique partner, what it might be that you need out of a critique partner as well. and what your expectations are for this critique partner. Do you expect them to meet with you on a regular basis? If so, what is this interval? Do you want to meet every month? Do you want to meet every week? Do you want to meet every 2 weeks? Like, what would be good for you? Do you want to be able to text them when you have a question? Like, what is your criteria for this critique partner, and how often do you want to talk to them? Do you want to just send them the manuscript and they comment on it and you comment on their manuscript? Because that is usually how this works. You have a mutual partnership. So if person A comments on person B's stuff, then it's usually expected that person B will also comment on person A's stuff. So you basically just swap your manuscripts, because this is meant to be a mutual beneficial relationship. So no matter how you find your critique partner, which is what I go over later in this video, you want to kind of set out to find someone that's going to connect with you. So you want to find someone that's more or less on the same level of experience. So if you're an unpublished writer, you don't want to necessarily find a critique partner that has already published like 10 books and is like on a different level than you are as a beginning kind of author or unpublished author, where this person might have tons of books out and you don't have anything. That means there's kind of a level difference. You kind of want to find someone that's more or less on the same level as you are. So for me, both of these ladies were unpublished when I met them, and I was also very much unpublished when I met them, and that was kind of the level that we were on, and we were trying to kind of achieve the same goals, which is to get published, and we were taking this writing in a serious direction, and that is what we were looking for. You also want to make sure that whatever they're commenting on your story kind of aligns with what you usually comment on other people's stories, just because you don't want necessarily someone who's only going to point out one aspect of the story that you don't really find that important, or you know, that is just a mismatch to what your vision is for this book. You kind of want to have someone that's going to critique on the stuff that you really need help with, and vice versa. You want kind of someone who's going to give you that advice and comments and critique that is going to help you in your story, and that's going to help you become a better writer, and that helps you grow and kind of gives you those yes, I've got it kind of moments where it just clicks and their comment helps you get there. That is kind of the person that you want to find. And don't get discouraged if this takes you a couple of times, because I definitely went through some chapter swapping before I found these two and stuck with these two. There's definitely like a couple people that I went through that just wasn't the right fit, or like it just didn't feel right. That can happen, and that is totally fine. Just kind of keep going and see if you can find that connection that you're looking for. Now, remember when I said that you don't want to necessarily find someone that is on a very different level than you are? In some scenarios, it can help to kind of have someone that has already published a book, and then you might not have published a book, so that you can learn from this person. But then I wouldn't consider that more a critique partner. I would consider that more of a mentor. But in this scenario, for searching a critique partner, you do want to find someone that is different enough from you that they're going to give a different kind of view to the story and bring different kind of views in general to the story writing and storytelling in general. So with me having two ladies critique my stuff, I have one that is based in the US and I have one that is based in the UK. Now, that is not something that I specifically chose this way, that is just kind of how it happened. But having these two kind of be in different sections of the world and also having different opinions and different lifestyles helps. They don't necessarily are the same person, which is very, very good to get like two different opinions and not the same one over and over again. So you want to kind of have a diversity in your critique partners, but also a diversity in you versus the critique partner. You want to be close enough that you like each other's company and that you get along and you have this similar kind of style and maybe similar genre to what you're writing, so that it makes sense for you to swap work. But also find someone that is different enough from you that they're going to bring something new to the table, basically. Let me touch a little bit on the similar genre aspect of this, because it is important to find someone who more or less writes the same kind of things that you do. Because if I am, for example, a romance author and I find myself a sci-fi or fantasy author, those two might not necessarily align completely in what is expected of a romance book and what is expected of a fantasy book. Now, if I'm gonna critique a fantasy book not knowing much about it, I might question a lot of the things that happen in that scenario, whereas the fantasy writer is gonna be, no, this is very normal for fantasy. So it is kind of important to find someone that's going to be similar to you in like the way that they approach writing and also the genres that they write in. Now, it's not necessary to find someone that writes the exact same genre as you write in, but just kind of find someone you find comfortable with and is going to help you kind of achieve that thing that you want to achieve. So that leads me into kind of the next topic. You want to find someone who's going to be as serious with their writing as you are. So if you're a casual writer and you kind of just do it whenever and you're not really sure if you want to publish it or not, you might want to find someone who's doing the same kind of thing and isn't necessarily striving towards getting published, and just kind of see where it goes. Whereas if you're someone who wants to publish, find someone who has the same kind of drive and same kind of motivation to get the story out as you do. So for me, with my two critique partners, we are all on a journey to publish our work, and even though someone might get there quicker than others, or we might approach it in a different situation, it is very helpful to have someone who kind of strives for that same kind of thing and is serious about their writing. Both of my critique partners also have a job next to their writing, so we relate on that as well, where we struggle with our balance of writing and having a full-time job and kind of having enough energy and actually working towards our books. And that is kind of where we are at in our journey. Both of these ladies are also kind of similar to my age, which is not necessary, but just how it ended up. And one of my critique partners is pursuing kind of self-publishing, and then one of my critique partners is pursuing more traditional publishing. So that is very interesting to have for my kind of critique partners, because I am very kind of probably want to do both at some point in my life. So it kind of is nice to have one of each. Again, not necessarily something that I planned before, but it is very nice to kind of look back on now how that is probably going to be beneficial to me in the long run. So if that wasn't enough, I still have more to come. So you want to find someone who is going to be as in love with your story as you are. So you want someone who's going to be genuinely interested in your story and is going to ask you the questions that you might have not thought of, and is going to ask you the questions that is going to keep you thinking about your story, that's going to spark that like brainwave of awesomeness and gonna help you figure out the story if you're stuck, and it's just gonna be as uplifting to get your story out as you are, and it's just gonna be like a cheerleader in your corner. It's gonna support you throughout this whole journey, and is gonna be excited about your story, and is gonna be excited about the progress you're making on the story, and it's just gonna be such a motivator. Next up, this might not be something that starts right off the bat, but you kind of want to find someone who you're going to enjoy talking to, and not just about your book or their book. You might want to start talking about like writing life in general, or life in general, and just the things that affect your writing life. As I kind of explained, my two critique partners both have a job next to their writing, same as I do, and we connect on that level. We talk about how it's difficult to balance all of that. That's gonna help our support for each other, just because we know what situation you're in, and we enjoy talking about kind of the life stuff, and we enjoy talking about, hey, what are you gonna do this weekend, and kind of those things, not just only writing focused, but also just life focused. And in the long run, these people can really become close friends, and that's how I feel about my critique partners. Like, I feel like they've become friends. I enjoy talking to them. I will text them if I find like a funny meme, or I will text them if I have trouble with my story. I'll text them to say, hey, have fun at your party, like stuff like that. I will try and be there for you, not just in only writing related stuff, but I will be there in like general life stuff. I will celebrate all of your wins, even the non-writing related ones. So in general, you just want to find someone who's going to meet your expectations and your requirements to fit that critique partner kind of mold that you might have. So you want to find someone who's going to have a similar workflow, who's going to have similar requirements to their kind of critique partner that they want to find. And you want to find someone who's going to be kind of punctual, who's going to take this serious, who is also kind of in the same turnaround time as your expectations are. So if you reach out to someone and you want to swap some chapters, make sure you check the timeline on when they want to receive this by, and make sure you tell them your timeline as well. If, for example, you're getting the full manuscript and both of your manuscripts are similar in word count and like chapter size and all of that, and they want it back in a week, and your realistic expectation was that it was going to take maybe a month, maybe 2 weeks to a month, then that doesn't line up. So you want to find someone who's going to be similar in their expectations and is going to be similar in their timelines, who's going to be similar in like all kind of aspects of this journey. I do hope that this list has not scared you off yet, because finding a critique partner is honestly one of the best things that has like happened to me, and finding like my writing community in general. Everyone that I've met kind of in the writing community and everyone that I consider my writing friends, I have all met online. So if you do not currently have a writing kind of community, or you don't have writing friends, don't be discouraged. You are going to find them, and you are going to connect with people that are going to be with you for the rest of your life. That is how I feel about my critique partners. I feel like we're going to go through this whole journey together, and we're probably going to keep meeting and probably going to continue this whole thing until all of us are like super successful. So don't be discouraged by all the kind of recommendations I gave you on what you want to find in a critique partner, and just kind of set out to search for one. Don't worry if they don't meet the full checklist. You're gonna be completely fine. Some of these things might come along as you go, like they might not be there off the bat. You don't also want to send your critique partner a full-on questionnaire about, hey, do you like this? Do you like that? Do you have this? What is your expectation? Like, you don't necessarily want to bombard them with questions, but you do kind of want to outline expectations and what you want out of this and what they want out of this, and if that aligns. And if that does align, go ahead and try and swap some pages, try and swap some chapters, see how their style is compared to your style, see what their comments are on your story, and if they're gonna help you. If you feel like the comments are like, yes, this is gonna help me, this is motivating me, this is giving me energy, this is giving me the moments where I was like, yes, this is what I need to do, that makes sense so much, why didn't I see that sooner? Those are kind of the comments that you're looking for. And if you're getting comments that are very discouraging and you're not really sure that this is the kind of feedback that you were looking for, don't be ashamed to say that. Just say it. Don't think about hurting someone's feelings, because in the long run, this is about you and about your writing journey, and this is supposed to help you and uplift you, and this is supposed to help you get better, not get you discouraged to a point where you don't want to write the story. Now, speaking from personal experience when I say this, because I have gone through some critique partners when I was searching, and I don't know if I will call them full critique partners, but I've gone through some people that I was trying to build a critique partner relationship with, and we have swapped pages. And some of the stories that I was reading were really nice, and I was commenting on the things that I enjoyed, I was commenting on the things that I thought they could improve on, I commented on the things that I think they could bunk down on, I gave them some like feedback and ideas of like, hey, maybe you can insert this because that's just going to give me so much more kind of insight into the story, or hey, this sounds really cool, maybe we can explain this a little bit more because I'm not sure where we're leading this, kind of stuff like that. That's going to help you, hopefully. And some of the feedback that I got back on my story was, hey, this doesn't make sense, you should definitely rewrite this is not the correct name for this, you should not be calling this because that is not accurate to the time period you're writing in. And that was kind of the feedback that I was getting, and that did not help me. That got me very much down, and it got me to a point where I questioned if they even enjoyed anything in my story. And that's what I ended up asking them. Even though I swapped kind of multiple chapters with them, and I was kind of just, oh, I guess they're not liking my story, and I guess my story isn't good. At some point I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna ask them straight out, do you like anything about my story? Because it feels very much like you don't. And it did mention like, hey, that, you know, I do like your story, and there's definitely stuff I do like. This is just kind of how I critique things, and that is completely fine, but that was not lining up with what I was expecting out of this. I wanted also the positive things to be outlined, and kind of have that told to me of like, this is what I enjoy about your story, and this is very good. maybe you can insert this, kind of giving you ideas and not just saying you shouldn't call this. This is not what you do. You should definitely do this. And although I learned a lot from that, it wasn't necessarily the feedback I was looking for. So don't be afraid to just tell someone, hey, I don't think this is working out. That is a completely valid response. I've also had critique partners that just ghosted. I've had critique partners that just, we were like, hey, I don't think this is gonna work out. And that's completely fine. You walk away and that's completely fine. You don't have to feel like obligated to keep going because you committed to something. If it's not working out for you, it's not working out for you, and that is okay. All right, now on to how you can find your critique partners. So as I explained, I found one of my critique partners on Instagram. So the way that I connected with her was just very kind of organic. We just followed each other. I was liking and commenting her posts. She was liking and commenting my posts. Somehow we ended up in DMs, we started chatting, and that's kind of how the ball started rolling. We're like, hey, do you want to just like swap pages sometime? And that's kind of how that started. It's a very organic way of kind of finding a critique partner. And if you're someone that's like, oh, that's what I want to do, then reach out to people on Instagram. Don't just jump in their DMs being like, hey, I'm looking for a critique partner, do you want to be mine? That's not necessarily how I would approach it. You know, in some situations that might work, but there are specific places where you can do that. And I wouldn't necessarily do that on someone's Instagram post or like in general on their social media accounts. I would kind of say, hey, go find some other place where you can like actually ask for a critique partner if that's what you want. But if you're just looking to build your community in general, then go follow some people on Instagram. Start interacting with their content, like their pictures, like their reels, whatever it is, like their content, and comment on it and start to build that genuine connection. And don't force it, just kind of go in and be like, oh, I actually really enjoy this book. I'm gonna comment on this person's post and say that I also enjoyed reading this book and I wonder what their opinions about it might be. And you know, you can ask like, hey, do you wanna like swap kind of what you're thinking and what I'm thinking about this book, and just kind of like go about it that way. I don't know if that would be my recommended thing, but you can try. So that would be kind of how you approach it on social media in general. Kind of interact with people, build your community, follow people. You know, if they don't follow you back, don't be discouraged. That's completely fine. Some people are just really busy and they are not looking for that interaction because they are too busy with like everything going on. But definitely just try and just keep going, build your community. I have definitely slowed down on comment on other people's posts. I am not on social media as much as I used to be in the beginning of my kind of building up this career. And yes, I'm calling it a career because that's what I want it to be. I'm manifesting this, okay? But yeah, basically when I first joined Instagram as an author, claiming to be an author anyway, like in the writer community kind of space and kind of building my following in that, when you're kind of smaller, it's much easier to reach out to other smaller kind of accounts, and we're all trying to build our community and kind of interact, and that helps a lot. So I think that is probably what happened when I had my critique partner kind of pop up and we just started interacting a bunch. But definitely kind of see how that grows and don't try to force it. It's gonna be okay. So as I said, don't really go out and be like, I'm looking for a critique partner, be mine. Don't necessarily do that on like people's DMs or in general like on their posts. I would say try and see if there are other places you can post this. For example, the way that I found my second critique partner, I found her through a forum, and I will leave that linked down below, which is kind of a Google forum where you can post saying, hey, I am looking for a critique partner long term. I write in this and this genre. It is this many words. Is anyone interested in swapping pages? Is anyone interested in swapping like chapters, and see if we can become critique partners, anyone in the same kind of genre. You can even outline a full thing of what you're looking for in a critique partner, because that is more so the place that you want to do that, whereas like fully asking about what it is you want, and then in such a place be specific, because there's going to be tons of people trying to look for critique partners on these forums, and you want to make sure that you're kind of specific about what it is you're looking for, and then hopefully that will bring in some responses. If it doesn't bring in a response, go and look through all the people that have asked for a critique partner that haven't received responses, and kind of see if any of them sound like a good fit for you, and see if that would help kind of interacting. Make sure you kind of just go through and see, oh, this would actually be something that I would be interested in reading. They're also looking for a critique partner. Looks like we have kind of a similar kind of thing. Reach out to them. Don't be scared to reach out in those kinds of settings and say, hey, I'm definitely also looking for a critique partner. Let's do this. Now, there's also probably going to be tons of different little groups everywhere. So what I'm thinking about is, for example, Facebook groups. There is bound to be groups where it's going to be looking for critique partners or critique partners in general, and that is kind of how people interact with each other. I'm sure there's going to be some. I personally haven't used them, so I don't have any good ones that I can link down below, but I'm sure that if you go on Facebook and you go and find some groups, there is bound to be a couple that is specific for critique partners. I do know of some that are specific for like beta readers and stuff. I'm pretty sure there are gonna be a couple that are dedicated to critique partners. So don't hesitate to go and jump into those and ask for critique partners. Do make sure to read the rules of the group just so that you're compliant. Just so that you're following them and making sure that you're not getting banned as soon as you enter that group. I don't necessarily know if there is a specific Discord for finding a critique partner, but I do know that some Discord servers that I'm in for like writing groups and stuff do have a specific section for critique partners or beta readers and finding them. So it might be possible that you can jump into some Discord servers about writing and writing groups and stuff like that. There is bound to be tons of writing related Discords. I don't necessarily know how you go about finding Discord servers. I just kind of got invited to a couple after I've been interacting and building my community. But sometimes they're also linked in videos down below. So if you're on YouTube watching this and you're watching other creators' videos on writing related stuff, check out the descriptions and see if maybe they do have a Discord server and if that is something that you could join. Other ways to kind of interact with people in the community is definitely joining, for example, like writing sprints or watching these kind of videos. There might be some that are specific dedicated to critique partners, kind of like my video. So if you're looking for a critique partner, feel free to comment on this video and say, hey, I'm actually looking for a critique partner. This is kind of the story that I write, or this is the story that I am currently writing. Put down the genre, kind of say what it is you're looking for a critique partner, and that way hopefully you guys can interact down below and interact in the comments. So that might give you also a possibility. If you find other videos where people talk about critique partners, check the comments, see if there's anyone that said, oh, I am so looking for a critique partner, I'm gonna try all of this, and see how old that comment is. If it's not that old, feel free to respond to those comments and be like, hey, I'm also looking for a critique partner. Do you want to kind of, you know, go somewhere on a platform where we start interacting, or do you want to swap things, or kind of see? So that could be a way as well for like writing streams and stuff. If you're joining the live writing sprints that are going on YouTube, where there's bound to be a ton, there's usually daily ones for some creators that just have like daily ones on their own, but there is a wide variety of people that do live writing sprints. Jump into their chats and just interact with people there, and at some point they're gonna start recognizing you and they're gonna ask you, hey, what you're writing, what is your book about? And that might be like a subtle way to kind of slip in, yeah, I'm working on this story, but like sometimes I get stuck and I really wish that I had a critique partner. Someone might jump in and say, I can be your critique partner, or say, hey, I totally like that idea. I totally like what your story is about. Feel free to send me a DM, or feel free to send me your story. And that is some way of interacting with your community and interacting with like other writers that might feel the same and might not have critique partners. If you're more so looking for someone that's gonna meet you in real life and meet you outside of the computer screen, then try and look up some writing related stuff around you. So there might be some writing workshops or conferences or like stuff like that around where you live. So see if that is something that you want to do. Sometimes there are like writing workshops that you could attend, and that sometimes results into like writing groups where you swap work, or you have like first page critique kind of situations where you have 1 week dedicated to one specific author or one specific writer, and you go over that person's chapter, and then one of the other weeks might be where they go over your chapter, and that is also a good way to get feedback. I have never personally joined a writing group like that. I don't necessarily have anything that is like in real life, like, you know, actual people sitting next to me. I don't necessarily have that here. There is probably ways that I could find that, but I'm just not as interested, because also where I live is very much so probably going to be native language, and I don't necessarily write in my native language. I write in English. So I want to make sure that I find people that do the same kind of thing and kind of know that space. Whereas if I find something here that is in real life, like IRL, I don't know if that's gonna really suit with what I'm looking for personally. But if you're looking for someone that's gonna actually be able to go to a coffee shop with you and sit down and write and do like kind of these writing sprints with you in person, then see if there's like writing workshops or conferences or writing groups around where you live. Just kind of feel free to type it into Google and kind of see if that is something that you can find or that pops up. A good way to also kind of see is maybe go onto the NaNoWriMo website, because there is like regional stuff usually, and that might be a good way to find out about like in-person events. I know that most of those events happen kind of during the NaNoWriMo and Camp NaNoWriMo times, but kind of check it out and see if there's anything that people are organizing, and see if maybe that is something that you can interact with if you're looking for the more in-person kind of things. So I want to do a quick kind of shout out to my critique partners, as one of my critique partners is currently agented, which I am very happy for her about. I will be sure to leave some links down to the socials of my critique partners, so you can find both of theirs linked down below, and make sure you go follow them and share the excitement. Then my other critique partner actually has a book coming out today. Today is the release date of her book. I have it right here, so I'm gonna quickly grab it. So my critique partner Colleen has a short novella out. It is called The Summer with Annagale, and today is the release date. Now I already have a physical copy somehow, you know, because and I'm very excited about this book kind of coming out and being available to everyone now, just because I have been there through the whole journey of this book, and I've just been supporting her throughout this. I've recently done a full read through of this again, just to kind of make sure that everything was fine, and I am excited for her and the book that she is releasing. To give you an idea about what the story is, I'm gonna read the blurb for you, and hopefully that's gonna spark something and you're gonna be excited about this just as I am. Can a summer change a life? Can a moment last forever? Aiden's life is falling apart. Everything he thought he knew has been shattered. It's very difficult to get through this with dyslexia. I can't read this like properly. It's so annoying. Okay, now he's forced to spend the summer at his mom's aunt's house in a small seaside town. Angry and hurt, he plans to avoid everyone and everything, but when a local girl passes him multiple times with large baskets of yellow flowers, he can't stop his curiosity. The decision to follow her might not only change his summer, but his life as well. Is there more than meets the eye to a Caesar salad, a yellow flower, or a seashell? The Summer with Annagale is a reminder that there is magic in everyday life. Even in dark times, hope can still exist. And that is the blurb of The Summer with Annagale. It is very much so an uplifting story that is gonna kind of shine light on how important the small moments in life are. So if you like those kinds of stories, please check it out. I will make sure to leave a link down below so you can go and find it and purchase it. If you do so, then you might even be able to spot my name somewhere in the end of the book. Spoiler alert, it's in the acknowledgements. It's right here. Make sure you check it out. It is kind of my homage to her to post this video on her release date, just to kind of say, hey, I found an awesome critique partner. She has a book out, and this is the video on how I did it and how you as well can find a critique partner of your own and be able to celebrate her successes or their successes with them. So that is kind of the wrap up of this video, and I just want to say I hope you find a critique partner you're looking for. I hope that you have an awesome time finding one, and just that they're gonna help you lift up, and they're just gonna help you feel great about your story, and they're just gonna be supportive on this journey with you, and you're gonna celebrate their wins, and it's just gonna be an amazing journey to go on with people that support you. So like I said, if you're looking for a critique partner, feel free to drop a comment down below in this video so that you guys can interact in the comments to find that critique partner you might have been looking for. If you don't necessarily know how to approach it otherwise, comment down below, see if there's anyone in the comments that's looking for a critique partner, and reach out to them. And hopefully, maybe I will be able to help you find a critique partner. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving it a like, and if you enjoy these kinds of videos in general and you want to follow my journey of becoming a published author, then please consider subscribing. And with that, I will leave you and hope you have an amazing day, and I will hopefully see you in my next videos. Now, if you're anything like me and you kind of live in real... Sometimes there's... Sorry, my phone is dropping. So the two that I have is... No.